friends, it's Miss Dodie. So today we are going to read a book called In Our Country. A lot of the time in pre-K we've talked about different habitats where animals live, like the rainforest or the desert. This book is going to show us some different places that you can see in the whole world. So we're going to get to see some pretty cool things that we don't get to see every day. So this book is called In Our Country. And our country is where we live. Okay, it's a big, big place where we live. This is a map of our country. So it looks like all the boys and girls are coloring in the different parts of the country that we live in. In some parts, there are forests. And this is what a forest looks like, okay? We see lots of trees, lots of green bushes and plants, okay? And this is where we would see forest or woodland animals, like we learned about bees and bears and birds and raccoons. All of those animals would live in a place like this. In others, there are deserts. And the desert is where we see lots of sand, lots of hot, hot, hot sun when the weather is very warm. And we see animals like snakes and owls come out at night. So far we have a place that is, it could be cold or hot. And then we have the desert, which is hot. Very, very hot. In some parts, there are beaches. Good job. So we see sand and the ocean, blue skies, okay? And we talked about lots and lots of ocean animals. So maybe you can try to remember some of the ocean animals that we've learned about. In others, there are marshes. Now in pre-K, we didn't learn about marshes yet, but this is a place where there's lots of water and big, tall, thick grasses grow in the water. So this grass that's here is actually growing up out of the water, and that's what we call a marsh. So you get a little bit of water and a little bit of grass, and you mix them together, and you get something called a marsh. So you get a little bit of both. Another place that we can see somewhere in our country is a place that has rivers. Now in rivers, there's lots of fish, and that's where bears like to hunt. A lot of times, there are rivers by forests. So if you see a forest, there could be a river nearby depending on where you are. In other places, there are lakes. Now, a lake is much bigger than a river, but it's smaller than an ocean. So the ocean is the big, big, big water that we see at the beach. And the lake is still a pretty big water, but it's not as big as the ocean. It's like in the middle water. And there are still fish and other animals that live in lakes too. In some parts of our country, there are canyons, and that's where there's lots of mountains and rocks. We don't have any of these near where we live, but they are in our country. They're just a little far away. You'd have to take a plane to see them. And in other parts, there are prairies, okay? This is like how we learned about the savannah. This is where you would see a cheetah or maybe an elephant or a giraffe would be in this kind of a hot, hot weather. Prairie's usually pretty warm. And in some parts, there are snow-covered mountains. So you can see the whole big picture there, and I'll come close. Whoops. So you can see all the ice and the glaciers and the snow covering the mountains. Do you think this is close to where we live or not so close? you're right. This picture is not so close to where we live. We would have to go pretty far to see that. Let's take care of our whole country. And at the end here, we see a picture of some kids who have, it looks like plants or maybe some flowers too, that they're going to maybe plant into the soil to help keep our country and the earth a healthy place, which is really cool. So we can talk about the place that is most like where we live, and that is this place. Where we live, we have lots and lots of beaches. So one thing you can do is try to name some things that you can see at the beach. I want you to try to name 10 things. 10 things you see at the beach. I'll give you one for a head start. One thing you can see at the beach is sand. And now I want you to find 9 other things so that you have 10 total. 9 other things that you can find at the beach, or maybe you've seen at the beach because you've been there. All right. Let me know if you can find 10. Bye-bye.